Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Hold on to your lug nuts. It's time for an overhaul.
Turn it up some.
I'm your huckleberry.
I don't give jobs, I hire men. You won't give me anything, and I won't give you anything.
Collision, sir.
Whoa, relax. We're not even moving.
There's no crying in baseball!
From Spence Broadcast Plaza, we're News New Mexico. It's Tuesday, April 3rd, 2012. I'm Michael Swickard. We have Aaron Henry Diaz here. Jerry Harden is our producer-director on the Newsmaker line. Marita Noon, Energy Makes America Great. Org, yes. Don't do it's org. Energy Makes America Great. Org. She has a great column, but before we get to it, you have something on your website that is great news. Over on the right side, it says the U.S. approves nuclear plants in South Carolina, 2 of them.
Yes, it is good news.
Wow, what great news that finally the 30-year drought has been broken. I got something from my buddy Paul Lindsay, who studies nuclear stuff all the time, and he was pretty jazzed by that too.
I know, who would have ever guessed? Although it is one thing, President Obama early on in his presidency did say that they were going to support some more nuclear power. So go figure.
Now you're talking about one of the things that you wanted to talk about was flexibility, and we're not talking about
yoga.
We're not talking about yoga. You know, we're not talking about gymnasts or anything. Evidently, the president got caught on a microphone that was inadvertently left open, making a statement to the head of the Russian government that he can play ball with them a little later after he gets elected, because this is his last election. So if he gets elected, then he's done, and he can have more flexibility with the things that they want. It seemed to excite the Republicans quite a bit.
It did, and I think rightfully so. It's a scary thought, and so what I did in my column this week is to take that idea of what would a president in his second term, President Obama, what would he be like with this so-called more flexibility if he could really do everything he's always wanted to do on the energy front, but he didn't have the specter of an election looming in front of him, which kind of kept a lid on his actions and made him kind of behave in a way that most people would approve of. And so that's what I kind of fleshed out in this week's column.
And in looking at that, we got gas prices climbing upward, and yet whenever I've talked to people who are partisans, they say, no, the reason the prices is going up is we have too much oil. It isn't about drilling.
That's the craziest thing you've ever heard.
You go, hello. And so I wrote a column called Those Econ 101 Deniers. And everybody wrote in and said, oh, no, this isn't Economics 101.
Really, what did they say about your column, which we discussed last week?
They just said, no, it's wrong. In fact, one person pointed out I didn't use the title about speculation. And I immediately fired right back and said, no, I didn't mention speculation because that's how all commodities are priced. But I'm talking about what causes speculators to decide things will be more expensive or less expensive. What are those things? What government policies? You know, don't
you want to say to them, have you ever had a class in economics?
No, the main thing is quite often in some of the blogs, it doesn't appear they've actually read the column, and so I just kind of let it go. But when you're thinking about the gas prices, what do you think if you had a different president, a different Congress, and they really could do the things for energy? What do you think is probably a typical price of gasoline that you would see in a petroleum-friendly administration?
Well, I think Newt Gingrich's estimate of $2.50 a gallon is a good estimate if the Middle East is not in the chaos that it is currently in. And I think that that's where Newt Gingrich is wrong in his estimation, because the current price spike is really being driven largely because of the unrest in the Middle East.
Well, why is it that Albuquerque has the cheapest gas in New Mexico? You know why?
No, you tell me.
Because you got a pipe that goes right from the refinery to Albuquerque. Big pipe goes right by TRC and Socorro and Las Cruces and goes right into there. So the price of moving the gasoline from the refineries to the actual, moving it out to the pumps is considerably less than if you put it in a silver truck and drive it a ways. It hugely. In fact, that's why we need more pipes. Because pipes.
That's true. I mean, that's the argument that I use for Keystone Pipeline, at least in part anyway, is that we need that pipeline to transport the resources, particularly out of North Dakota, and all of that resource currently is being sent by truck or train, and it is more expensive and less efficient, and which more expensive and less efficient tend to go together, but it's also more dangerous.
Yeah, well, if somebody was really looking at the danger in our society, and I hope people won't be a burro and jump on this in the wrong way, but those 8,000-gallon silver trucks that drive around with all that gasoline on it, that is a little bit dangerous, but it's kind of worth it.
It's a lot dangerous.
It is a lot dangerous, yes. And so it'd be much better if we had a pipe running instead of throwing it into an 8,000-gallon tanker and then driving it up. But, certainly the final delivery, that's the way to do it. You can't put a pipe to every filling station. But certainly getting it from the refinery, if you send it by shipboard, that's the next cheapest. If you go by rail car, that's the next cheapest. If you put it in the 8,000-gallon motor carrier, that is the most expensive. We are talking with Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. Going to come back and talk more with her. You can catch her column, Obama, More Flexibility, Use Less, Pay More. We'll have more with her when we come back. We are News New Mexico, 14 minutes past.
Have you anyone here to defend you?
It's no use. I even offered to pay as high as $18, but I no good to get somebody to defend me.
All right, $18. Nobody defends him. We're talking with Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.org. Aaron Henry Diaz is here. I'm Michael Swickard. And so P.J. O'Rourke says, Marita, giving money and power to government is like giving whiskey and car keys to teenage boys. What do you think?
I think that's totally true. In fact, it's interesting. I have a comment, and maybe you can help me with this, Michael. On my column on townhall.com this weekend, and perhaps you've heard this same thing, I got a comment from someone saying, why don't we tax the refiners, not the refiners, but tax the refined product that is shipped overseas, and so that they are forced to sell it here in America. Now, I have to tell you, I have not had an Economics 101 class. I've been a small business owner, and I have some great mentors who have helped me. And I, in my gut, inherently feel like that is kind of like what you were saying. Why should we give more money to the government? But I also know that that isn't going to, that's a bad plan. So why is that a bad plan?
Well, again, when you start tariffing, it's you know where you want to start, do you know where you want to end? Because before you know it, you can really mess an economy up with tariffs. And so you know where you want to start. Now, again, a lot of this whole dialogue, it is not the desire of the people who do oil and liquefied natural gas to send it, 5,000 miles away. They'd like it to be used right where they're at. That's much, much better. It has fewer risks and more rewards. When they do send something, that's usually an indication that there is something wrong. And here's what's wrong, is we have 45, maybe 50 blends, all mandated by government, when we ought to have 5, tops.
Oh, so are we sending, as what the refiners are producing for an overseas market is probably generic blend.
Right. And they can't sell it here.
It's actually cheaper.
No, they can't sell it here because Phoenix won't take it. And
gotcha. Chicago won't take it.
Chicago won't take it. California won't take it. They make a generic blend, and if they have extra generic blend, then they send it somewhere rather than just stop refining.
Gotcha. Because, I've said repeatedly, and I've heard this argument about we need to be taxing the refined product that goes overseas. And as I said, as a free market person in my gut, I know that is wrong, but I hear it a lot on television. I hear it a lot in the conversation out there, so I know somebody is pushing this. I know Charles Schumer has said about the Keystone Pipeline that if we allow the Keystone Pipeline to go through, we have to have an agreement that product is only sold in America. And I'm thinking, you know what, if I'm making bread, I don't want the government telling me how much I can sell my bread for, or that I have to sell it for, they're going to get a bigger piece of it if I sell it to a certain customer. That just is wrong. And secondly, why is it wrong to send product, something that we make in America, where we've quit making things? Why is it wrong to sell it to another country and bring foreign dollars back to the U.S., when for years and years and years we've been sending our dollars to other countries for their products?
Yeah, get the balance of trade back in our favor. Absolutely, all those points are exactly right, Marita Noon. You have that right. But again, when somebody starts wanting to do protectionism and tariffs, tell them we've already worked that out. That's always a waterhead idea. Marita Noon, EnergyMakesAmericaGreat.com. Always great to talk to you. We talked to her on Tuesday. Thanks, Marita.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. If you're warm and you got something making breakfast this morning, Marita is part of Getting Energy.